Day 245 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again another day, another LeetCode problem. This time we're at day 245, y'all, and you already know we're not stopping anytime soon. Today we have question number 200, number of islands. The difficulty level is medium, but you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand, so let's get into it. Question says, given an m times n 2D binary grid, which represents a map of one's land and zero's water, return the number of islands. An island is surrounded by water and is formed by connecting adjacent lands horizontally or vertically. You may assume all four edges of the grid are all surrounded by water. So, let's break that down, see what they mean by looking at example 1. In example 1, we have the input grid. It's a n by n 2D matrix right here represented by ones and zeros. These ones represent land, and all the zeros represent water, right? So as you can see right here, these ones right here are all connected, so this equals one island. This makes one island because it says an island is surrounded by water and is formed by connecting adjacent lands horizontally or vertically. So right here, these ones are connected horizontally and vertically, right? So, or the adjacent ones connect them horizontally like this, and right here too, and horizontally right here. This one right here connects both of these islands horizontally, making this just one big island. The rest are zeros, and it says we can assume all four edges of the grid are all surrounded by water. So everything outside of these ones we can assume is surrounded by water. So this is the only island right here, these ones, and thus that's why the output is 1. So let's look at example 2 where they have a little bit more islands. In this case, we have the input grid equals this n by n matrix right here, and the output is 3. As you can see, there are 3 islands. There's one island right here. Boom. It doesn't say diagonally, which means this one is its own separate island. This is a separate island. These 4 ones right here is one island. Then we come right here, is this one island by itself. And then we come over here and it's a third island right here, these ones right here, right? Because it says horizontally or vertically, right? It doesn't say anything about diagonal, which means this one is the loneliest number that you ever knew. This one right here is a lonely one. This is a lonely island because it might be connected diagonally, but diagonally doesn't count in this scenario. So this is the island. That's one island. This is the island right here. That's and these 4 ones right here is the third island. Thus, the output is 3. So now that we understand the question, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution, y'all. But before we get into the solution, if y'all need any new Apple AirPods, go ahead and check that link out in the description. And then after you do that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, y'all. Now, let's see what this solution is talking about. So the first thing for the solution, right? First thing we need to do is we are going to need to create a helper function to perform a depth first search and mark all cells of the current islands as visited, right? So we need a way to traverse or through this m by n 2D matrix, right? So that we can see which cells we have already visited, so we don't revisit them, meaning like, so when we see this one, we already know that that's a 1. We can move on to the next and on to the next, right? So we're going to use that. First thing, we're going to use a private helper function to do that. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to say private func dfs, open up the parentheses, underscore grid, colon. This is going to be an in out, so we could modify the things in place. It's going to be 2D character, so it's going to say character. Sorry, y'all. It should look more like this. Sorry about my spelling. Then we're going to say comma. Then we're going to say underscore row. colon, that's going to be integer, comma, underscore, call for column, colon, that's going to be integer as well, y'all, just like so. Then we come outside of that, open up the brackets. Now we need to excuse me, we need to create a boundary check to ensure all the current cells are within the grid. So in order to do that, we need to say if row is less than 0 or row is greater than or equal to grid dot count, or call for column is less than 0 or call is greater than or equal to grid open up the square brackets, grid index 0 dot count, just like so. Then we can open up the brackets and we can just say return. Then now we need to check if the current cell is a 1 land, and if it is, then we can return immediately, right? So we need to check for the ones, and in order to do that, we could just say if grid open up the square brackets row comma, not comma, come outside of those square brackets and say call. So if grid square bracket row square bracket call square bracket exclamation point equals does not equal, open up the quotation marks 1. If they do not equal 1, then we could just return as well. Now we need to mark the current cells at 0 just to let us know that we visited it already, right? So as we're going through this grid, we need to mark the cells that we already visited. We're just going to mark them as 0 to let us know that we already visited them. So in order to do that, we're just going to say grid, open up the square brackets row, come outside, open up the square brackets call, we'll say equals 0. Now we need to recursively explore all 4 neighboring cells, up, down, left, and right, to see if it's land or water. So in order to do that, we're just going to say DFS, open up the parentheses, and grid, because we're working with this in out. The in out is the grid is an in out, so we need to put this and sign right here. But we're still after grid, we're still inside the parentheses. We're going to say comma, row -1, comma, call. Then we're going to come down here. We're going to say DFS again, open up the parentheses, and grid again, comma. This time it's row +1, comma, call. Then we're going to come, then we're going to come down here, DFS, open up the parentheses again, and grid again. This time it's going to be row, comma, row, comma, call -1. And this is the last one, y'all. We're going to say DFS, open up the parentheses, and grid, comma, row, comma, call +1. Just like so. So this right here is going to move up. This right here is going to move, this right here is going to move down. This right here is going to move left. And this right here is going to move right. Now, we still have to call this function, right? That's just the helper function. So we're not done yet. Now it's time to come up here and implement our function, right? So first thing we need to do is we need to create a copy of the grid that we will be able to mutate, since it needs to be modified during the traversal. So in order to do that, we're just going to say var grid equals grid, so we can mutate it. Now we need a variable to keep track of the number of islands that we have found. So in order to do that, we're just going to create a variable and call it number of islands. We could set that to 0 to start. Now it's time to iterate through each cell in the grid. So we're going to say for row in 0 up to grid dot count, open up the brackets. Then we're going to say for call in 0 up to grid square bracket 0 dot count, open up the brackets, we're going to say we need to check if the current cell contains a 1 is land, and so we need to check if the current cell is equal to 1. So we could just say if grid, open up the square brackets, row, come outside of that, open up the square brackets again, call. We're going to say if that's equal to, open quotation marks, 1, that means we found land. Then we need to perform a depth first search to mark all connected land as visited, right? So now we need to check to see which land is connected. So in order to do that, we just say DFS, open up the parentheses, and grid, comma, row, comma, call. Now we need to increment the island count after processing the entire island. So in order to do that, we could just say number of islands plus equals 1. Then we still have to return the number of islands, so we could just come down here and say return number of islands, just like so, y'all. So let's run it, see how it runs. Hopefully we did that right on the first try. Oh, not so lucky, not on the first try. We got a typo right here. This should be up to. So let's try it again. Let's see, fingers crossed. Oh, okay, cannot find GERD. Oh, let's see. Should be grid. Let's see what else. Line 25, cannot assign a value. Let's just see. Oh my goodness, y'all. Line 10. Sorry about these typos, y'all. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Line 25. What does line 25 say? Let's see. Okay, it still got, that didn't go anywhere. So let's see what we're doing. Oh, sorry, y'all. This should be in quotation marks. Should be as a string. So let's run it again. There it is, y'all. There it is. So let's submit it. Make sure it stays submitted or stays accepted. Let's see. Okay. 203 milliseconds beats 53.81% of users with Swift, y'all. Not too bad. We're going to get those numbers up as we go further down our LeetCode journey. But right now, we're just focusing on being able to solve the problem that is in front of us. And I figured that this was a good solution for that, y'all. So get one more look at the code before we leave. This is the helper function. Get one more look at the helper function. One more look. Then this is the main function right here. Get one more look at it. I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.